What happens when family loyalty meets professional obligations? And why did Jin's rage become the talk of the entire K-pop world? The entertainment industry was left reeling yesterday as BTS's eldest member Jin delivered what many are calling the most explosive performance of his solo career. But not for the reasons you might expect. In a turn of events that nobody saw coming, the usually composed and gentle Jin found himself at the center of a family drama that has sent shockwaves through the global ARMY fanbase and raised serious questions about the bonds that hold BTS together. Could this be the beginning of the end for the world's biggest boy band? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? The Seoul Olympic Stadium was packed to capacity with over 70,000 screaming fans, all eagerly awaiting Jin's highly anticipated solo concert. The atmosphere was electric, the stage was set, and everything seemed perfect for what was supposed to be a celebration of Jin's individual artistry. But as the lights dimmed and the opening notes began to play, keen-eyed fans noticed something that would soon become the most talked-about absence in K-pop history. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, was nowhere to be found among the expected VIP attendees, and his empty seat in the family section became a glaring reminder of what would unfold as one of the most dramatic nights in recent memory. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist that left everyone questioning everything they thought they knew about the BTS brotherhood. Sitting in that same family section, radiating warmth and pride despite the brewing storm, was Mrs. Jungkook's beloved mother, who had traveled from Busan to show her unwavering support for Jin. Her presence became a beacon of hope and confusion simultaneously, as fans struggled to understand how the woman who raised the missing member could be there cheering for Jin, while her own son was conspicuously absent. The sight of her enthusiastic applause and genuine smiles during Jin's performance created a stark contrast to the tension that was building behind the scenes, setting the stage for what would become one of the most emotionally charged confrontations in BTS history. The events leading up to this shocking evening began weeks earlier, when Jungkook made what many are now calling a career-defining decision that would test the very foundations of his relationship with his Hyung. Sources close to the group reveal that Jungkook had been planning an extended overseas trip with Jimin, a journey that was supposed to be a well-deserved break after months of intense solo promotions and group activities. The trip, which was initially blessed by all members including Jin himself, was meant to be a time for the two youngest members to recharge and explore their creative horizons away from the pressures of Seoul's entertainment industry. However, what started as a supportive gesture from Jin quickly turned into a source of deep hurt and disappointment when the dates began to overlap with his solo concert preparations. Industry insiders who spoke on condition of anonymity revealed that Jin had specifically requested all members to keep certain dates free, particularly the night of his Seoul concert, which he considered the most important performance of his individual career. The concert, titled Jin's Lunar Journey, was not just another show but a deeply personal artistic statement that represented years of hard work, self-discovery, and creative growth that Jin had poured his heart into. The situation became increasingly complicated when Jungkook's travel plans, which had been carefully coordinated with his management team, began to conflict with Jin's concert date. What should have been a simple scheduling discussion between brothers turned into something much more complex when communication breakdowns and misunderstandings began to pile up. Sources suggest that Jungkook believed he had Jin's blessing to maintain his travel schedule, while Jin assumed that his concert would naturally take priority over any personal plans. The morning of the concert brought with it a phone call that would be remembered as one of the most intense conversations in BTS history. Multiple witnesses backstage reported hearing Jin's voice raised in a way that shocked everyone present, as he attempted to reach Jungkook, who was already thousands of miles away with Jimin. The call, which lasted nearly 20 minutes, allegedly began as a desperate plea for Jungkook to find a way to return for the concert and escalated into something far more heated when it became clear that Jungkook would not be able to make it back in time. "I've never seen Jin like that," revealed a backup dancer who has worked with BTS for over 3 years. "He's always been the peacemaker, the one who keeps everyone calm and together. But that day you could see how much this meant to him, and how deeply hurt he was by Jungkook's absence. It wasn't just about the concert. It was about feeling like his efforts and dreams weren't being prioritized by someone he considered family." The phone conversation, according to multiple sources, touched on years of accumulated feelings and unspoken expectations. Jin allegedly expressed his frustration not just about the concert absence, but about what he perceived as a pattern of Jungkook taking their brotherhood for granted. The eldest member reportedly brought up instances from their shared history where he felt his support and sacrifices had gone unrecognized, creating a conversation that went far beyond the immediate issue of the concert attendance. Jungkook, caught between his commitment to Jimin and his loyalty to Jin, found himself in an impossible position thousands of miles away from home. Sources close to the situation describe the youngest member as being emotionally devastated by the confrontation, torn between his desire to support his hyung and his inability to abandon Jimin during what was described as a crucial period in their collaborative project. The conversation reportedly ended with both members hanging up without resolution, leaving Jin to face his biggest solo moment without the support of his youngest brother. But perhaps the most surprising and heartwarming aspect of this entire dramatic situation was the unwavering presence of Mrs. Jeon, Jungkook's mother, who had made the decision to attend Jin's concert regardless of her son's absence. Her appearance in the family section sent ripples of confusion and admiration through the fan community, as many struggled to understand her motivations and what her presence might mean for the ongoing conflict between the two BTS members. Mrs. Jeon, who has been a beloved figure among ARMY for her warm interactions with all BTS members over the years, had apparently made her decision to attend independently of her son's travel plans. Sources close to the Jeon family reveal that she had been looking forward to Jin's concert for months. Having watched his preparation process with the same maternal pride she typically reserved for Jungkook's achievements. Her decision to attend despite the family drama demonstrated a level of personal affection for Jin that transcended the immediate conflict. During the concert, Mrs. Jeon was spotted enthusiastically cheering for Jin's performances, singing along to his songs, and even wiping away tears during his most emotional moments on stage. Her genuine reactions and visible pride in Jin's accomplishments created a powerful image that resonated with fans worldwide, many of whom began to see her as a symbol of unconditional love and support that transcended individual loyalties. The visual of Mrs. Jeon's support became even more poignant when Jin himself noticed her presence during his performance. Multiple fan accounts describe the moment when Jin's eyes found her in the audience, and his visible emotion as he realized that while her son couldn't be there, she had chosen to be present for his special moment. The interaction, captured on numerous fan cameras, showed Jin pausing mid-song to bow deeply in her direction, a gesture that brought tears to thousands of eyes in the audience. Her presence also sparked intense discussion about the role of family in K-pop dynamics and how personal relationships extend beyond professional obligations. Many fans began to interpret her attendance as a statement about the importance of supporting artistic endeavors regardless of personal conflicts, while others saw it as a mother's attempt to bridge the gap between her son and his brother during a difficult time. The concert itself became a masterclass in professionalism and emotional resilience, as Jin delivered what many critics are calling the performance of his career. Despite the personal turmoil and the glaring absence of one of his closest friends, Jin managed to channel his emotions into a show that was both technically flawless and deeply moving. His setlist, which included several songs that he had written specifically about his relationships with his BTS brothers, took on new meaning in the context of the evening's drama. Industry veterans who attended the concert noted that Jin's performance seemed to carry extra weight and intensity, as if he were using the stage to communicate feelings that couldn't be expressed through words alone. His rendition of Yours, a song that many fans associate with devotion and commitment, became particularly emotional as the audience seemed to understand the deeper meaning behind his passionate delivery. The production value of the concert was extraordinary, featuring elaborate stage designs, stunning visual effects, and costume changes that showcased Jin's evolution as a solo artist. However, it was the raw emotion and vulnerability that Jin brought to each song that truly set the performance apart. Critics noted that while the technical aspects were impressive, it was Jin's ability to transform personal pain into artistic expression that made the evening truly memorable. During his closing remarks, Jin addressed the audience with a speech that many interpreted as a direct message to his absent brother. Without mentioning names, he spoke about the importance of showing up for the people you love, the value of support during crucial moments, and the pain of feeling let down by those closest to you. His words, delivered with visible emotion, created a silence in the stadium that spoke volumes about the impact of his message. The aftermath of the concert and the phone call has created ripple effects throughout the K-pop industry and the global fan community. Social media platforms exploded with discussions about the situation, with fans divided between supporting Jin's position and understanding Jungkook's difficult circumstances. The hashtag Jin deserved better began trending worldwide, while counter hashtags like #UnderstandJungkook also gained traction, showing the complex emotions surrounding the situation. Industry analysts have begun speculating about the potential long-term impacts of this conflict on BTS's group dynamics and future activities. Some experts suggest that such personal conflicts, while painful, can actually strengthen relationships when resolved properly, pointing to other successful groups who have weathered similar storms. Others worry that the public nature of this disagreement could create lasting damage to the brotherhood that has been central to BTS's identity and success. The role of social media in amplifying and analyzing every aspect of the situation has added another layer of complexity to an already delicate situation. Fan accounts have dissected every moment of the concert, every social media post, and every public appearance by any BTS member, looking for clues about the current state of relationships within the group. This intense scrutiny has undoubtedly added pressure to both Jin and Jungkook as they navigate their personal conflict under the public eye at Mrs. John's continued support for Jin has also sparked broader conversations about the extended family dynamics within K-pop groups. Her actions have been praised as an example of how personal relationships can transcend professional conflicts, and many fans have expressed hope that her presence might serve as a bridge for reconciliation between Jin and Jungkook. Her genuine affection for Jin, demonstrated through years of interactions and culminating in her concert attendance, has highlighted the deep personal bonds that exist beyond the professional relationships. The international media has also taken notice of the situation, with major entertainment outlets covering the story and analyzing its implications for one of the world's most successful music groups. The narrative of family conflict, professional pressure, and artistic expression has resonated with audiences far beyond the typical K-pop fanbase, creating discussions about work-life balance, loyalty, and the challenges of maintaining personal relationships in high-pressure careers. Meanwhile, Jungkook and Jimin's overseas activities have continued, though sources suggest that the conflict with Jin has cast a shadow over their collaborative work. Reports indicate that Jungkook has been in regular contact with other BTS members about the situation, seeking advice and support as he processes his complex feelings about the conflict. The youngest member reportedly feels caught between his loyalty to Jin and his commitment to his current projects, creating an emotional burden that has affected his usual cheerful demeanor. The situation has also highlighted the intense pressures and expectations that come with being part of a globally successful group like BTS. The expectation that members will prioritize group activities and support each other's individual endeavors creates a complex web of obligations that can sometimes conflict with personal desires and circumstances. This incident has brought these pressures into sharp focus, creating discussions about the sustainability of such expectations and the importance of clear communication in preventing conflicts. Industry insiders suggest that the resolution of this conflict will likely require direct, private communication between Jin and Jungkook, away from the public eye and social media speculation. The involvement of other BTS members, management, and possibly family members like Mrs. John may be crucial in facilitating a conversation that addresses both the immediate issue and the underlying feelings that led to such an explosive confrontation. The timing of this conflict is particularly significant, coming during a period when BTS members are focusing on individual projects while maintaining their group identity. The success of each member's solo endeavors has been seen as crucial for the group's long-term sustainability, making support for individual projects not just a personal matter, but a professional necessity. This context adds weight to Jin's feelings about Jungkook's absence and helps explain why the situation escalated so dramatically. Critics and supporters of both Jin and Jungkook have emerged within the fan community, creating passionate debates about loyalty, responsibility, and forgiveness. Some fans argue that Jin's reaction was justified given the importance of the concert and the effort he had put into the event. Others contend that Jungkook's commitments to Jimin and his overseas projects were equally valid, and that condemning him for honoring those commitments is unfair. The role of Mrs. John in this situation has been universally praised,